All right, so we're diving into first love today.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, always a good topic, right?
Always.
So we got this outline from one of our listeners. It's basically like they want us to make a podcast episode about their first love.
Oh, very cool.
But instead of just like talking about their specific story, we thought it'd be fun to analyze the outline itself.
Yeah, I like that.
Kind of go meta with it, like a deep dive into a deep dive.
Exactly. So, what's the structure of the story they want to tell? What does that tell us about, how they're thinking about this whole first love thing?
Exactly. And maybe what they're leaving out, too.
Right, what are the gaps in the narrative? That can be just as revealing as what's actually there.
Okay, so the outline starts with setting the stage. And it really focuses on the time and place, like high school or summer camp. Classic first love settings.
Right, right.
But, I mean, that's not everybody's experience. What about someone who didn't go to summer camp or had a totally different kind of teenage experience?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's less about the specific setting and more about the social and emotional context. Adolescence is just like this time of massive change. You're figuring yourself out, trying on different identities. And so those first romantic feelings often pop up in places where you feel both a sense of belonging and like you have some freedom to explore, whether it's school or a sports team or even online these days.
Right. It's that combination of social dynamics and, emotional vulnerability.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, so after setting the stage, the outline goes into the whole crush phase, all that excitement and nervousness and, funny or awkward experiences.
Oh, totally.
Do you have any, classic crush moments that stick out in your memory?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's funny because there's this whole thing in evolutionary psychology that suggests some of those awkward behaviors we associate with crushes, like blushing or fidgeting or even just tripping over your words.
Yes.
Those might actually be subconscious ways of signaling our interest to potential partners. Yeah, have you ever noticed yourself doing any of those things around someone you had a crush on?
Yeah, maybe.
Your body kind of betrays you even when you're trying to play it cool.
Totally. But eventually, a crush might lead to that big step, the first date.
It's a first date.
And this outline really zooms in on all those details, the planning, the nerves, what to wear. It's like we turn into these mini dramatists, carefully choosing our costumes.
Clothes.
Exactly, like rehearsing our lines. You know what we're going to say and hoping for a standing ovation.
A second date.
A second date, yeah. Why do we put so much pressure on these first encounters, do you think?
I think it's because first dates are often seen as these highly ritualized events, full of symbolism, like the way we dress, the places we choose, even the topics we talk about. It's all sending messages about who we are and what we're looking for.
Right.
And because it's a first, it carries this weight of expectation and potential for awkwardness that makes it incredibly memorable, for better or for worse.
Totally. It's like the opening scene of your own personal romantic comedy, right?
Exactly.
But any good story, there's got to be some conflict. And this outline definitely doesn't shy away from the bittersweet side of first love. It talks about both those sweet moments and the inevitable heartbreak.
Absolutely. I think first love is so powerful because it's often our first real experience with those intense highs and lows of emotion. Think about the most exhilarating, heart-stopping moment of your first love.
Okay, yeah.
Now imagine the opposite of that feeling. That contrast, the highs and lows, that's what makes first love so impactful. It teaches us about vulnerability, resilience, the complexities of navigating strong emotions. We learn that even the most intense feelings can change and that we have the strength to move through both joy and heartache.
Yeah, that's such a valuable lesson,
Yeah.
even if it comes at a price. But what strikes me about this outline is, while it captures a certain kind of first love experience, it feels a little limited in scope.
Oh, how so?
Well, what about all the stories that don't fit this traditional dating narrative? What about unrequited love? Or the fact that people experience and define romantic relationships in so many different ways?
Yeah, those are such important points. First love isn't a one-size-fits-all experience. It can take many forms, from fleeting crushes to deep and enduring connections that might not involve traditional dating at all. And, cultural norms, personal beliefs, and even shifting societal views on relationships all play a role in shaping what first love looks and feels like for each individual.
So we've done this deep dive into a deep dive, analyzed the structure of a first love story outline.
We did it.
It's been really insightful, I think.
Yeah.
But maybe the most intriguing part is what it doesn't include. What would you add to this episode to make it a more complete picture of first love?
I think for me, it's about acknowledging that how we talk about first love is just as important as the experience itself. You know, like those stories we hear, the movies we watch, the songs we listen to, they all contribute to creating this cultural narrative about what first love should be. So I encourage everyone to question those narratives, seek out diverse perspectives, explore the full spectrum of human connection.
That's great advice. So we've deconstructed this first love outline.
Yeah.
But what about your first love story? How does it fit or not fit into these categories? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Let us know.
And that's it for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See ya.